Hello all, welcome to my Maverick visual tutorial. This is not for the TGP handoff, this is more for employing the visual mode of the Maverick. So, brief overview of the Mavericks and the variants. So, what I'm carrying here are the Delta versions, but there are a total of 4 other variants that can be carried by the F-16. The Alpha, Bravo, and Delta all are the lighter Mavericks, so they can be carried in triple racks and each have a 125-pound shaped charge, so those are good for taking out tanks. The Golf variant has a 300-pound shaped charge and is good for taking out ships and hardened targets like a bunker. Typically, I do not recommend carrying the Mavericks, but in some cases it is needed. But it's a weapon that you need a bit of time to set up from a distance, and generally you will be traveling relatively fast to employ them, so you have to employ them relatively rapidly to use them. They are very finicky, so do not over G them. So back to the overview of the variants. The Alpha is a TV, electrical optical sensor, has no zoom. The Bravo adds zoom to the electrical optical. And then the Delta and the Golf are both IR sensors, so they will pick up the heat of the vehicles. So even though I have the TGP on, I will not be using the TGP, I'll be just using the Mavericks in visual mode. So the targets are near the Kotar range right here, and it's a tank battalion of T-62s, so I'll be using that for example. And I can also post this TE down in the description below if you guys want to practice using this, because the Maverick tutorial that's native to BMS is more designed for using the TGP handoff. So I'm going to go ahead and commit, and then I'm going to send the AI wingman home and mute him just so he doesn't bother us while we're flying. So go ahead and take off. So I'm going to go ahead and hit send him home.
2, I'm LG.
There you go, and go ahead and reference Tier 5. Go and switch to air to ground mode because Mavericks have about a 3-minute power on period. And due to the limited amount of battery that the Mavericks have, when they are not uncaged, they have a total on time of 60 minutes, but when they are uncaged, they only have 30 minutes of battery power, so keep that in mind when you're attacking. So it's not like the DCS A10C where you can keep them on powered indefinitely. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my lights. And we do not want pre, so we want to change that to VIS mode. VIS mode will give us a box that we can slew around to different areas, and then that will set as a general reference point for the Mavericks. So we're right now heading to the target range, so point that out as we get closer. So go and do some time acceleration, which you can do that by either hitting caps lock for ×4 or tab for ×2 time. So turn to the target area in general. And you can see right off in the distance there's a target area. The tank battalion is right beside it. So, as you can see by RDY, the Mavericks are ready. So, just slew the box over to general area. Then I hit TMS up once, and then that will designate the target. So now the Mavericks are sensor of interest. And then uncage him. So that is by default U, but I recommend having that on your HOTAS. So I'm going to hit Shift P to freeze the simulation. That allows me to still interact with the cockpit without having the time progress. So some instrument or notation. So field of view, that obviously changes field of view. You can also do that with your pinky. So this is a Delta Maverick, so you can see the IR pickups of the targets over there. The key thing to keep in mind with the Mavericks is the keyhole, which I'll link down in the description a picture of the keyhole. But in general, the shape of the keyhole is from this bomb line up to the side, up and around, then back down in the shape of a keyhole. So the picture will make it a little bit easier to see that, which if I remember, I'll actually have a picture of that at the end of the video. So that's a general idea on what you have to keep in mind. So if you can see that cross, which I'll unpause it to move the cross around, that's what you want in the keyhole. So I'm going to just slew the Maverick around, zoom in, and then you have to hit TMS up once, then it will designate a target. But if it's the wrong target, you just hit TMS down to unlock the target. So there we go. Has a similar range mechanism to the air-to-air missiles and bombs, where you have the range right here. Typically I recommend shooting them at 8 to 7 miles. If you shoot them further, they aren't a guaranteed hit, especially against moving targets. So it's key to be within those parameters to guarantee a hit. In real life, with proper employment, the Maverick has almost 100% hit rate. In fact, the Israels, when they had the Maverick, they got almost 100% hit rate during one of the air wars. I can't remember which one it is offhand. So we locked up the target, then weapon release, which the call out for that is rifle. So we're just going to pull off and launch the missile. So I'm going to just switch on autopilot real quick and hit Shift 7. So as you can see, the missile is tracking, so it essentially lobs itself because of how much drag the missile has, and then it plunges down on the target. The Maverick can also be used on moving targets, so it's a good all-around weapon if you have precision armor that you want to take off, especially if they're in contact with the enemy, because you can get a general target ID using the Maverick Seeker Head. Then shack. So I'm gonna just fly out. Typically for the F-16, I recommend having a distance of about 20 miles for setting up your attack runs, just so you have plenty of time to set it up. So we're just gonna fly out right now. Do some time acceleration. Then turn back in. See the edge of the target area? So again, slew the box over your general target area. TMS up once to fix that. Then your Mavericks will automatically get to that location. Uncage. Then you just set your target using TMS up. And again, remember the importance of the keyhole. So I'll fire 4 missiles right now inside the keyhole to show how fast they can be employed. But then for the 6th shot, I will fly out again and then fire outside the keyhole to show that they miss. So almost in range and then in range. Engage. Zoom in. Designate target. Rifle.
Altitude. Altitude.
And then that's 5 total Mavericks away. Then, since of how slow the Maverick moves, the last Maverick that we fired will actually be the first to hit. So, now we're just going to cruise away. There's one. I think that might have been actually a miss because of the terrain. Yeah, that was a miss. And there we go. That's proper employment of Mavericks 101. Now I'm just going to turn back in and show you the importance of the keyhole. And one thing to note, if you look in the corner right here, you do have a timer on the Mavericks, just to keep track of where you are. So again, designate target using TMS up, uncage, zoom in, then TMS up once to designate target, and now I'm going to fly outside the keyhole. So as you can see, it's outside the keyhole. Fire. Maverick just went stupid.
Altitude. Altitude.
So that's the basics of shooting a Maverick. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments down below. And if you have any suggestions for future tutorials, please let me know in the comments down below as well. So that concludes this, my first in-depth tutorial for Falcon BMS. Thank you for watching.